Look, very rarely does the title picture come right clear after a main event. Well, he goes out there and he knocks Derek Brunson cold with that elbow and tight bang, and hits him with a back fist to knock him out. He is the number one contender. There is no ifs, ands, buts about it. But when you look at that as a fan of the game, does it excite you to see that Jared Cannonier is the guy?
A guy who started fighting heavier and then had to lose the weight has now turned himself to a specimen at 185. And this is the guy, you know, Robert Whitaker beat, but he had to go through the Kelvin Gastelums. He had to get through the Derek Brunsons. I think that's the good thing about watching his approach or his opportunities come against Israel Adesanya. He had to beat people to get to this point. And I know most fighters do, right? You know, most fighters have to go through the gauntlet of the contenders in order to get the champion, but we've truly got an opportunity to watch Jared Cannonier do that almost slowly to get his opportunity to fight Israel Adesanya. And I think that's what makes this fight exciting. Not only the stylistic matchup or the level of athlete that both of these men are, but it's the fact that we can get explosiveness out of these two men. I feel like Jared Cannonier can bring the best out of Israel Adesanya.
Oh! Knockdown for Adesanya! That is it! Wow! Still undisputed! Quick night at the office for the champion, Israel Adesanya.
Isn't that what we want to see? Whether it's a win for him or a loss for Israel Adesanya, we want to see him pushed. We want to see the best Izzy we can possibly get on fight night. And I feel like right now, as the middleweight stand, Jared Cannonier is the right person for that, because I believe a guy like Robert Whitaker, who in the second fight fought the exact fight he was supposed to, when you fight that fight, you don't sometimes get the best Izzy because he's not going to come out of his shell. Izzy is not going to get out of character. Where I feel like when you fight a Jared Cannonier who's going to pressure him, who's going to try to make this fight ugly, who's going to try to use his strength, some of the things that he has as pluses or positives over Izzy, we'll see the Israel Adesanya that we're looking for in these big fights.
Jared Cannonier is exciting because Jared Cannonier has also been in there with Anderson. If you remember when he fought Anderson, his approach was a little different than what we're used to seeing. He didn't overextend, he took his time, and he's so powerful that he landed those outside kicks that ultimately blew out Anderson's knee. But that's Jared being so physically strong and so physically gifted. Can he do the same thing in front of Adesanya? Can he take his time? Can he not overextend himself? Can he make sure that he's only taking the opportunities that are presented to him? Because again, if he goes out there over aggressive, he's going to get pieced up by Israel Adesanya. Dude, I'm telling you, his ability to see things and to punch and find spots are so much better than anyone I've seen in the octagon. You have to be willing, again, to just sit in front of him and not get out of position, because he's gonna embarrass you, bro. You can't do anything stupid with Adesanya, and I believe that Jared Cannonier, as in tune with himself as he is today, is not gonna make any mistakes against Adesanya.
Man, I think that that's a really interesting fight. I think that Jared Cannonier brings something different than Izzy's seen in a long time. The explosiveness, the speed, how fast he closes distance and range.
I think if ever we see someone fighting at a heavier weight class and then they start moving down, they have this power that is, it looks like it's from a different weight class.
And Stylebender, man, he seems to be getting better every time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for him, it was just avoiding takedowns. Like, he was so high level as a kickboxer. He's so clever. Like, he's like, in my opinion, probably the very best in the sport at setting traps.
Yeah.
He'll like gauge you, see what you're doing, then he'll switch stances.
He's getting some information.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not random.
When you're seeing like really high level, super technical strikers like him, like who's a world class. I mean, as good. He easily could be world champion in many organizations as a kickboxer. To see him now in the UFC and see guys having to deal with that, it's like, oh, okay. This, like the Anderson fight's a great example. We know how great Anderson is.
Yeah.
And it still looked pretty good against Stylebender, but you could see why Stylebender was special in that fight. he had like another level of trickery.
The one thing that you're seeing with Adesanya that's very scary and very impressive, he's getting better, Eves. As good as he looked at his last fight, or even the one before that, he looked his best tonight. When you have a young man who's the champion, who's still motivated, it's a very beautiful thing.
Jared Cannonier versus Israel Adesanya has to be the next fight now. This is a fight I've been calling for years, man. I've been so interested to see how Jared Cannonier can fight Israel Adesanya. On the feet, it's going to be a bit dicey, but the power that he has can change everything. He's extremely dangerous in the clinch. With the newfound footwork, he's able to get his way inside of range. He almost has the same reach as Adesanya as well, so things could be very interesting here.
Israel Adesanya is smarter than his opponents. He's not just sort of more gifted in some kind of general sense. He's just smarter. He doesn't see the game just in more detail. He has a completely different conceptual approach to it than virtually all of his contemporaries. Now, that doesn't mean he's perfect, and it doesn't mean he's never going to lose. What it does mean is he's going to be a hard case to solve, because the variables he's weighing, the concepts he's relying on, are second, third order relative to the rest of this division.
Like, he hasn't finished authoring his story, but ability-wise, yes. He's a freaking all-timer, unique, special freak of a talent.
Have you always kind of visualized what you were going to be doing with your career?
Yep.
So you know what's next?
I do know what's next. Jared Cannonier is next. He's my next opponent. I'm going to take care of him.
Obviously, Cannonier is a beast. This guy's hands are unbelievable. I've liked this kid for a long time. Like I said, I thought, you know, that this kid would absolutely make it into the top 5, and now he's number 3 in the world.
Of all the people in the UFC, Jared Cannonier has got some of the mental strength that we really want to see in all of these fighters. I mean, you know, just to watch him move down from heavyweight through the divisions and to see the condition that he's in now, it just kind of shows you where his mentality's at. I just don't think, speaking to him, I just don't think he's going to be affected by any of these things. He knows what he's capable of, and he knows it's only a matter of time before he lands the punches that make the difference.
Adesanya is one of the best strikers we've ever had in the sport. Every single thing about this guy is special. He is a dynamic striker, one of the most dynamic we've ever seen. He's fast, he's precise, he's smart, his IQ is just incredible. His footwork, his movement, his speed, everything. I'll say he's probably the most dynamic and best striker we may have ever seen in the sport.